together, forming a dense core at the heart of Mercury's beginnings. The young planet, still in its infancy, was a chaotic mixture of molten rock and metal, bombarded by debris left over from the creation of the solar system. As the centuries passed, collisions with asteroids and comets scarred its surface, leaving craters that would remain for billions of years. Each impact brought new materials, adding layers to the growing planet. The iron core solidified, creating an incredibly dense heart, a feature that would make Mercury unique among the rocky planets. Gradually, the fiery chaos began to settle. The surface cooled, hardening into a crust marked by towering ridges and jagged cliffs. The planet's early atmosphere, thin and tenuous, was stripped away by the sun's relentless solar wind, leaving Mercury exposed to the vast emptiness of space. Its small size and proximity to the sun ensured that it could never hold onto an atmosphere for long. What remained was a world of stark contrasts. Scorching heat on one side, freezing cold on the other. Today, Mercury continues its silent journey around the sun, the closest of all planets to the brilliant star at the center of our solar system. Its surface is a map of time, marked by the scars of its turbulent formation. Vast plains stretch across its face, interrupted by towering cliffs formed as the planet cooled and contracted. Craters of all sizes reflect the violent history of its early years, each one a reminder of the forces that shaped it. Now, imagine yourself drifting closer to this ancient world. You float above its cratered surface, bathed in the harsh light of the sun. The airless silence is absolute, and the only sound is the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. You feel the warmth of the sunlight on one side of your body, while the other remains in the shadow of the planet, a place of eternal cold. The contrast is soothing, a balance of extremes. As Mercury rotates slowly, you notice the play of light and shadow across its surface. Days and nights here are long, each lasting nearly 59 Earth days. The sun appears enormous in the sky, rising and setting in slow, deliberate arcs. You let the steady pace of this ancient rhythm calm your mind, grounding you in the timeless dance of the cosmos. The planet's dense core, deep beneath its surface, still radiates faint warmth. It is a quiet reminder of the energy that forged Mercury in the fires of the early solar system. Above, the sun continues to shine, a constant source of light and life, its gravity keeping Mercury locked in its orbit, eternally circling. As you float above this small, resilient world, you feel a deep connection to its history. Mercury's story is one of endurance, a testament to the forces that shaped the solar system. It has survived billions of years, silently bearing witness to the passage of time. In its stillness, you find peace, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, there is balance, order, and beauty. Let your thoughts drift like the dust that once formed this planet. Let the warmth of the sun and the cool shadow of space guide you into a deeper state of relaxation. Breathe in the timelessness of the cosmos and exhale all the worries of your day. Mercury, the smallest and innermost planet, continues its quiet journey, just as you now drift into the soft embrace of sleep. Mercury's orbit is an elliptical path, slightly stretched, bringing it close to the sun at one point and farther away at another. This orbit creates a unique pattern of light and shadow on its surface, a dance of illumination that repeats endlessly over time. The sun, as seen from Mercury, doesn't behave as it does from Earth. Instead, its path in the sky is irregular, rising and setting in strange, looping patterns. This is due to Mercury's slow rotation and its gravitational interactions with the sun, a phenomenon that scientists call spin-orbit resonance. Imagine yourself standing on Mercury's surface, gazing at this celestial display. The sun looms 3 times larger in the sky than it does on Earth, and its light is almost blinding. The surface beneath your feet is dry and rocky, covered with fine, powdery dust formed by countless impacts over billions of years. There is no air to carry sound, no wind to stir the dust, only the profound stillness of a world untouched by life. As the sunlight fades and night begins to fall, the temperature drops rapidly. Mercury's lack of atmosphere means there is nothing to retain the heat of the day. Within moments, the surface cools, plunging into freezing darkness. But the beauty of the night sky above is breathtaking. With no atmosphere to obscure the view, the stars shine with incredible clarity, filling the sky with a tapestry of light. Mercury's surface tells a story of its past. The enormous Caloris Basin, one of the largest impact craters in the solar system, stretches over 1,500 kilometers across. This scar, formed by a massive collision billions of years ago, is surrounded by rings of mountains and plains filled with solidified lava. It is a reminder of the planet's violent youth, when impacts like this one were common throughout the solar system. Beyond the craters, vast plains stretch to the horizon, marked by ridges and cliffs known as scarps. These formations were created as the planet cooled and contracted, causing the crust to buckle and fold. Some of these scarps are hundreds of kilometers long, towering over the surrounding terrain like ancient walls. Mercury's core, which makes up a significant portion of its mass, is still slightly molten. This creates a weak magnetic field, a remnant of the planet's once dynamic interior. It is faint, but it is there, a quiet echo of the forces that shaped this small world. The sun begins to rise again, its light creeping slowly across the surface, bringing warmth to the frozen landscape. The cycle repeats, a steady rhythm that has continued for billions of years. Mercury's rotation is so slow that a single day lasts longer than its year. This creates long periods of light and dark, each lasting weeks, a contrast that shapes the planet's character. Drifting above the surface, you feel a sense of calm. Mercury's story is one of resilience, a world that has endured the extremes of heat and cold, of light and dark, for longer than we can truly comprehend. Its proximity to the sun has made it a place of extremes, but also a place of incredible beauty. Allow yourself to float, to be carried by the quiet rhythm of Mercury's orbit. The sun's light glints off the planet's rocky surface, illuminating the craters, the ridges, the vast empty plains. Each feature is a testament to the forces of nature, to the quiet strength of a world that has stood the test of time. Let your breathing slow as you picture this scene. Inhale the vastness of space, exhale the weight of your thoughts. Imagine the gentle pull of gravity holding you close, the soft light of the sun warming you. The silence of Mercury becomes your silence. The stillness of the planet becomes your stillness. As the sun rises higher, Mercury's surface begins to shimmer with heat. The rocks, which had been frozen solid during the night, expand and crack under the intense heat of the day. The temperature on the sunlit side climbs to over 400 degrees Celsius, while the shadowed side remains locked in frigid darkness. This stark contrast defines the planet's character, a balance between extremes that has existed for eons. Now imagine yourself moving across the surface, floating above the jagged ridges and craters. You come across a feature known as the hollows, mysterious, shallow depressions scattered across the landscape. These bright, reflective areas are unique to Mercury, likely formed by the evaporation of volatile materials under the relentless heat of the sun. Their shimmering surfaces seem to glow, like pools of light amidst the dark, rocky terrain. As you drift further, you notice something remarkable: the traces of Mercury's magnetic field. Though weak, it creates faint, invisible lines that encircle the planet, a reminder of its molten core deep beneath the surface. This magnetic field interacts with the solar wind, streams of charged particles flowing outward from the sun occasionally. These particles strike the surface, creating a subtle glow of energy, an aurora-like phenomenon in the absence of an atmosphere. You float higher, and the horizon curves beneath you. The vast, barren landscape stretches endlessly in every direction, bathed in the harsh brilliance of sunlight. This is Mercury, a world that has witnessed the birth and evolution of the solar system. Every crater, every ridge, every shadowed valley tells a story of time, of patience, of endurance. Now picture the young sun, billions of years ago, shining with even greater intensity than it does today. Mercury, then newly formed, was a fiery world, its surface covered in molten rock and flowing rivers of lava. Over time, this fiery chaos cooled, and the planet solidified into the rocky sphere you see now. The sun, too, has aged, its light softening slightly over the millennia, but its bond with Mercury remains unbroken. As the sun begins to set once more, the long shadows stretch across the ground, creating intricate patterns on the surface. The day ends slowly, the temperature falling with every passing moment. The stars begin to emerge in the sky, one by one, until the night is filled with their ancient light. Mercury's surface glows faintly under the starlight, a quiet reminder of its timeless journey. In the stillness of this moment, you feel the peace of Mercury's rhythm. The planet spins slowly, completing its day in silence, unaffected by the passing of time. You let this rhythm guide your breathing, slow and steady, like the orbit of a planet, like the rise and fall of the sun. The sun has fully set now, and Mercury's surface is plunged into a deep, quiet cold. The temperature plummets to nearly minus 180 degrees Celsius, and the rocks contract once again, their surfaces cracking softly in the absolute silence of space. Without an atmosphere to carry sound, there is no echo, no whisper, only the profound stillness of a frozen world. Above you, the stars shine brighter than ever, their light unfiltered by any haze or clouds. The constellations seem clearer, more vivid, like ancient maps etched into the cosmos. Among them, the Milky Way stretches like a river of light, a reminder of the galaxy's vastness and your place within it. You drift along the surface, passing over the immense Caloris Basin. Its edges rise like frozen waves, a testament to the colossal impact that created it billions of years ago. The energy from that collision was so immense that it rippled through the planet, fracturing the surface on the opposite side. The planet bears these scars like a memory, etched into its crust for eternity. As you move further, the terrain begins to change. You see regions of smooth plains, likely created by ancient volcanic activity. These plains stretch like seas of stone, their surfaces cracked and weathered by billions of years of exposure to the sun's relentless heat. Here and there, smaller craters interrupt the smoothness, each one a snapshot of a moment in time when the universe collided with Mercury's surface. You notice the sharp cliffs once again, known as lobate scarps. These ridges are like wrinkles on the planet's surface, formed as Mercury's core cooled and contracted over time. Some of these cliffs are immense, rising several kilometers high and stretching for hundreds of kilometers. They are ancient geological features, unchanging and eternal, silent witnesses to the passage of time. As you float higher, you notice something peculiar: the slight wobble of Mercury's orbit. Known as precession, this slow shift in Mercury's path was once a mystery. It wasn't until Einstein's theory of general relativity that scientists understood this phenomenon, a subtle effect of the sun's immense gravity bending space and time itself. Mercury, small and unassuming, played a crucial role in revealing the universe's hidden laws. Time feels meaningless here on this ancient world. A single day on Mercury lasts 176 Earth days, and a year is only 88 days. The sun rises and sets in strange, looping motions, a slow, deliberate rhythm that seems almost meditative. You let this rhythm guide you, your breathing synchronized with the planet's timeless orbit. The night deepens, and the cold intensifies, but the beauty of the stars keeps you warm. Each point of light is a reminder of the universe's vastness, of the countless other worlds spinning silently through space. You feel a connection to all of it, a sense of belonging in this endless expanse. As you continue to drift, the sun begins its slow ascent once more. The faintest hint of light touches the horizon, casting a soft glow across the surface. The shadows retreat, and the rocks begin to warm again. The cycle starts anew, an unbroken pattern of light and dark that has defined Mercury for billions of years. You let yourself be carried by this cycle, by the gentle pull of the planet's gravity and the steady rhythm of its orbit. The silence of Mercury becomes your silence. The stillness of space becomes your stillness. You are part of the cosmos, connected to its ancient, unchanging dance. The sun rises slowly, painting the rugged terrain of Mercury in hues of gold and deep shadow. The craters, once hidden in darkness, now reveal their intricate details, steep walls and central peaks formed by the immense forces of impacts long past. Each ray of sunlight gliding over the surface seems to awaken the planet's history, as if whispering the secrets of its creation. The surface begins to radiate heat again, and the rocks expand under the sun's intense glare. Mercury's day side becomes an inferno, while the night side remains frozen, a stark contrast that has existed since the planet first formed. You sense the balance in these extremes, the way they coexist without conflict, shaping Mercury into the world it is today. You pass over a smaller impact crater, its edges sharp and well-defined. The rays of lighter material surrounding it spread outward in brilliant patterns, evidence of a relatively recent impact. Recent in planetary terms, meaning perhaps 1 million years ago. Time here moves differently, each moment stretched across eons, giving every feature a sense of permanence. Looking closer, you notice small patches of brightness scattered across the darker surface. These are the hollows again, enigmatic and otherworldly. Scientists believe they are formed by the sublimation of volatile materials, exposed to the unyielding heat of the sun. Their strange, reflective surfaces make them stand out like jewels embedded in Mercury's rocky crust. Farther along, you come across the massive cliffs once more. These scarps, towering and ancient, are among the most striking features of the planet. As Mercury's interior cooled and contracted, the crust buckled, creating these immense ridges. They rise above the plains like the spines of a slumbering giant, quiet but powerful, reminders of the forces that shaped this world. Floating higher, you take in the planet as a whole. Mercury is small, barely larger than Earth's moon, but its dense core makes it incredibly heavy for its size. You can almost feel its gravity, faint but steady, anchoring it to the sun's immense pull. This closeness to the sun defines Mercury, subjecting it to solar winds and radiation that sculpt its surface and atmosphere, or lack thereof. Mercury's orbit is another unique aspect of its character. The planet is locked in a 3:2 resonance with the sun, completing 3 rotations on its axis for every 2 orbits around its star. This means that a single sunrise takes an entire year to complete, creating an unhurried rhythm that feels almost meditative. The sun's light moves slowly across the surface, and you let yourself be carried by this deliberate pace, your thoughts slowing to match it. You drift into Mercury's thin exosphere, a tenuous layer of atoms and particles ejected from the surface by the solar wind. Sodium, potassium, and other elements form a faint glow around the planet, invisible to the naked eye but detectable by instruments. This exosphere is fragile, constantly replenished by micrometeoroid impacts and the sun's relentless energy. Above, the sun dominates the sky, its light so intense that it seems to saturate the very fabric of space. Its gravitational pull keeps Mercury tightly bound, its radiation constantly reshaping the planet's surface. Yet Mercury endures, resilient and unwavering, circling its star in an endless, graceful ellipse. The sun begins to set again, and the long shadows stretch out over the surface once more. The planet's rotation is so slow that the transition between day and night feels eternal, a gradual shifting of light and darkness. As the horizon darkens, the stars emerge once more, filling the sky with their ancient light. You let yourself sink deeper into this rhythm, the unchanging cycle of day and night, of light and shadow. Mercury's journey around the sun is a reminder of the constancy of the cosmos, of the quiet strength that comes from enduring the passage of time. You feel a sense of peace in this stillness, a connection to the planet's ancient story. As the stars reclaim the sky, Mercury's surface seems to fall into a deep slumber, its timeless stillness undisturbed by winds or weather. The shadows grow deeper, pooling in the craters and valleys, and the planet once again becomes a world of contrasts. The sun's absence brings with it a quiet, profound cold that seeps into the very rocks, causing them to contract and crack in the silence of the vacuum. Far above the surface, the faint glow of Mercury's exosphere becomes more apparent. Microscopic particles, energized by the sun's radiation, drift in an ethereal halo around the planet. These particles, cast off from the surface and carried into space, form a connection between the world below and the vastness beyond. It is as if Mercury breathes, exhaling fragments of itself into the cosmos, a subtle and ancient exchange. You float over the vast Caloris Basin again, its sheer size impossible to grasp fully from this distance. This scar of a long-forgotten impact speaks of unimaginable forces, a single event that forever changed the planet's surface. The surrounding terrain, rippled and fractured by the energy of that collision, stretches outward like a frozen wave, a record of a moment in time when the young solar system was a place of chaos and creation. Moving beyond the basin, you encounter vast plains, smooth and featureless in contrast to the jagged cliffs and rugged craters. These plains were shaped by volcanic activity in Mercury's distant past, when its interior was still molten and alive. Rivers of lava once flowed across these regions, filling low-lying areas and creating expansive fields of basalt. Now solidified, these plains reflect the light of the distant stars, their dark surfaces shimmering faintly in the cold. Mercury's rotation is imperceptible, so slow that it feels as if the planet itself is pausing to let you take in its story. Days and nights stretch endlessly here, the passage of time measured not in hours or minutes but in the steady orbit of the planet around its star. You feel yourself syncing with this rhythm, your thoughts slowing to match the unhurried pace of Mercury's existence. As the night deepens, you find yourself over one of the planet's mysterious polar regions. Though most of Mercury is barren and lifeless, the deep craters near its poles hold a secret, pockets of water ice, hidden in perpetual shadow. These regions, untouched by the sun's heat, are like time capsules, preserving materials that may have existed for billions of years. The ice glistens faintly, a reminder that even in the harshest environments, traces of something unexpected can endure. Floating higher now, you see Mercury as a whole, small, dense, and ancient. Its surface, marked by countless craters and cliffs, is a testament to its resilience, a world that has withstood the extremes of heat and cold, light and shadow, for eons. The sun's light outlines its curves, creating a luminous halo that seems to radiate strength and peace. You let yourself drift in this moment, cradled by the quiet strength of Mercury's presence. The silence becomes your silence, its endurance becomes your own. The planet's slow rotation and steady orbit remind you that there is no need to rush, that time flows in its own way, unhurried and infinite. The stars above seem closer now, their light steady and calming. The Milky Way stretches across the sky, a vast river of light that connects all the worlds of the solar system. You feel a part of this endless expanse, a small but significant piece of the universe's story. As the sun begins its slow return, you sense the warmth creeping back across Mercury's surface. The rocks, frozen and still, start to expand once more, and the shadows retreat before the advancing light. The cycle continues, unbroken and eternal, a reminder of the planet's steadfastness in the face of change. You take one last breath, letting the rhythm of Mercury guide you. The silence of the planet, the balance of its extremes, the constancy of its orbit, all of it lulls you into a deeper state of peace. You are a part of this timeless story, a witness to the quiet beauty of a world that has endured for billions of years. The first rays of sunlight crest the horizon, piercing the darkness and illuminating Mercury's ancient surface once more. The craters, valleys, and scarps gradually emerge from shadow, their edges sharp and clear under the sun's unfiltered light. The planet's surface begins to warm, expanding after the cold stillness of the night, and the stark contrasts between light and dark return, defining Mercury's rugged beauty. The sun, so immense and brilliant from this close distance, seems to dominate the sky, casting its golden light across the barren terrain. The slow rotation of Mercury means the sunlight spreads lazily, creeping inch by inch over the rocks and plains, revealing details that were hidden in the shadow of night. You drift with this light, letting its steady advance calm your thoughts. As the day progresses, the temperature rises rapidly, transforming the surface into a scorching landscape. Yet, even in this intensity, there is tranquility. The silence remains absolute, the airless environment ensuring that no sound disturbs the planet's serenity. The heat, while overwhelming, feels distant from your vantage, as though you are merely a quiet observer of this eternal cycle. Far below, you notice the shimmering effect of the sunlight reflecting off the hollows. These enigmatic features, unique to Mercury, glint like scattered gemstones across the planet's dark surface. Their origin remains a mystery, a reminder that even in a world as ancient and well-studied as Mercury, there are secrets waiting to be uncovered. The hollows, bright and reflective, seem alive, as if Mercury itself is quietly resisting the sun's relentless pull. Your journey takes you toward Mercury's equator, where the planet's slow spin reveals a landscape rich with contrasts. Smooth plains, likely formed by ancient lava flows, stretch into the distance, interrupted by the jagged cliffs of the scarps. These scarps, some rising kilometers high, are silent witnesses to the planet's cooling and contraction over billions of years. They speak of a world that has endured unimaginable forces, reshaping itself as it settled into its final form. High above the surface, the faint exosphere of Mercury glows with particles cast off by the sun's solar wind. Sodium and potassium atoms, energized and glowing faintly, drift in a halo around the planet. This exosphere is fragile, constantly replenished and eroded, but it is also a testament to Mercury's dynamic relationship with its star. You imagine the solar wind brushing against the planet, like an invisible river of energy flowing through the solar system. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, the play of light and shadow across the surface becomes even more dramatic. The craters cast long, sharp shadows, while the ridges and scarps stand out in stark relief. This interplay creates a world of textures, a landscape carved by time and shaped by extremes. The sun's heat intensifies, and you feel the relentless power of the star that governs Mercury's existence. And yet, there is peace here. The stillness of Mercury, its unchanging rhythm, offers a sense of calm. The planet's surface, though battered and scarred, has remained steadfast through billions of years. Its journey around the sun is quiet and deliberate, a reminder that even in the face of immense forces, there is strength in endurance. You let yourself drift higher now, gazing down at Mercury from above. The planet appears small and solitary, but also incredibly resilient. It orbits the sun with quiet determination, its dense core anchoring it firmly in place. The sunlight glints off its rocky surface, a beacon of light in the vast darkness of space. As the sun begins its slow descent, the shadows lengthen once more, creeping across the surface and covering the planet in a blanket of darkness. The temperature drops, the heat of the day giving way to the freezing cold of night. The cycle continues, unbroken and eternal, a rhythm that Mercury has followed since its creation. You feel yourself drawn into this rhythm, your breath slowing to match the planet's steady pace. The silence of Mercury becomes your own silence. The stillness of the planet becomes your own stillness. The light fades, the stars reappear, and the night takes hold once again. As night envelopes Mercury once more, the surface plunges into the quiet chill of space. The warmth of the day is gone, leaving the rocks frozen in their stillness. The shadows deepen, and the craters that were so vivid in the sunlight now dissolve into the darkness, their edges barely visible under the faint starlight. The temperature plummets, the surface contracting ever so slightly, as if the planet itself is taking a slow, deliberate breath. Above, the stars dominate the sky. Without an atmosphere to obscure them, they shine with an unmatched brilliance, each one a distant sun in its own right. The Milky Way stretches out as an infinite river of light, its soft glow connecting the vastness of the cosmos. For a moment, you feel the enormity of space, yet within it, Mercury's quiet presence feels like an anchor, a small, steadfast world orbiting its star in silent perseverance. You glide toward the polar regions, where shadows linger even during the day. Here, in craters that have never seen the sun's light, lie patches of ancient ice. Locked away in these perpetual shadows, the ice has remained untouched for billions of years, a remnant of a time when the solar system was young and chaotic. The contrast between this frozen water and the fiery extremes of the rest of the planet is striking, a paradox that speaks to Mercury's unique nature. These polar craters are serene, their icy floors glistening faintly in the dim light reflected from distant stars. They are places of stillness, timeless and undisturbed, offering a glimpse into the earliest days of the solar system. You imagine the comets that brought this water to Mercury, colliding with its surface in a burst of energy, leaving behind these frozen traces of their journey. As you float higher, the entirety of Mercury comes into view once more. Its surface, so scarred and rugged, tells the story of a world that has endured more than most. The craters, the scarps, the plains, they are all chapters in Mercury's long history, a testament to the forces that shaped it. Despite its small size and its proximity to the Sun, Mercury has held its ground, remaining steadfast in the face of immense challenges. The Sun, though hidden below the horizon, still exerts its influence. Its gravitational pull keeps Mercury in its tight orbit, and the solar wind continues to brush against the planet, sculpting its exosphere and reshaping its surface. This invisible connection between the Sun and Mercury is a quiet dance, a balance of forces that has endured for billions of years. Time seems to stretch here, each moment blending into the next. A single day on Mercury is so long that it feels eternal, the slow rotation of the planet offering a sense of timelessness. You find comfort in this unhurried rhythm, allowing your thoughts to slow and settle, as if syncing with the planet's deliberate pace. As the stars shine above, you feel a deep sense of calm. Mercury's story is one of endurance, a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, there is beauty and strength. Its surface, though battered and scarred, reflects a quiet resilience, a testament to the power of persistence and balance. The faint glow of Mercury's exosphere becomes more noticeable as your perspective shifts. Particles of sodium and potassium, released by micrometeoroid impacts and the Sun's energy, drift gently around the planet, creating a delicate, shimmering halo. This exosphere is fragile, constantly replenished and eroded, yet it endures, a subtle connection between the planet and the cosmos. You allow yourself to drift with this halo, feeling its quiet energy and its connection to the Sun's distant warmth. The stillness of Mercury's night surrounds you, a blanket of peace that seems to stretch infinitely. The cycle of day and night, of light and shadow, continues as it always has, unbroken and eternal. As the horizon begins to lighten with the approach of dawn, you feel the first faint hints of warmth returning to the surface. The Sun, still hidden, begins to announce its presence, its light creeping slowly across the landscape. The stars begin to fade, their brilliance overtaken by the growing glow of the Sun. You let this transition guide you, your breathing steady and slow, your thoughts quiet and calm. Mercury's timeless rhythm carries you, its silence and stillness becoming your own. The light returns, the cycle begins anew, and you find peace in the endless balance of this ancient world. The first light of dawn stretches across Mercury's surface once more, creeping slowly over the rugged terrain. The jagged cliffs of the scarps catch the Sun's rays first, their peaks glowing like molten gold against the dark expanse. The light spreads, filling the craters and valleys with warmth, chasing away the chill of the long, frozen night. Slowly, the surface comes alive again, as if awakened by the Sun's gentle touch. You hover above this transformation, watching as the planet reveals itself anew. Each crater, each ridge, each plain becomes distinct, bathed in the sharp clarity of unfiltered sunlight. Mercury's surface, though scarred and battered, seems to glow with resilience. The ancient rocks, having endured countless cycles of heat and cold, reflect the light with a quiet dignity. As the Sun rises higher, the temperature begins its relentless climb. The rocks expand, cracks forming and deepening under the intense heat. The stark contrast between day and night is part of the planet's identity, a balance of extremes that has defined its existence for billions of years. You feel the power of the Sun's presence, its energy shaping and reshaping Mercury's surface with every passing moment. Drifting closer, you notice the fine dust that blankets much of the surface. This regolith, formed by countless impacts over the eons, is a testament to the planet's history. Each grain of dust carries the story of a collision, a fragment of the universe's past embedded in Mercury's skin. The surface is silent, untouched by wind or rain, preserving every detail as if frozen in time. You move toward the Caloris Basin once more, its immense size and complexity captivating. The basin, formed by an ancient impact, is surrounded by concentric rings of mountains, their peaks rising like ripples frozen in stone. Within the basin, smooth plains stretch outward, remnants of lava flows that once filled the crater. The energy of the impact that created this feature was so immense that it sent shockwaves through the entire planet, creating a chaotic pattern of fractures on the opposite side of Mercury. Beyond the basin, you find smaller craters, their sharp edges indicating that they are more recent. The rays of ejected material spread outward like frozen explosions, their patterns intricate and mesmerizing. Each crater tells a story, a moment when the universe touched Mercury, leaving a lasting impression on its surface. You let your gaze shift toward the sun, now high in the sky. Its light dominates everything, overpowering the stars and casting long, stark shadows across the planet's surface. From Mercury, the sun appears immense, its fiery brilliance both life-giving and destructive. The heat it radiates is intense, and yet Mercury endures, orbiting faithfully, unyielding in its path. The slow rotation of the planet creates an unusual rhythm. Daylight stretches on for weeks, the sun moving gradually across the sky. The pace is deliberate, almost meditative, a reminder that time flows differently here. You feel yourself sinking with this rhythm, your thoughts slowing, your breathing steady, as if you are part of the planet's unhurried cycle. As the day progresses, the heat intensifies further, transforming the surface into a searing landscape. Yet even in this harsh environment, there is beauty. The bright hollows, scattered across the plains, reflect the sunlight like tiny mirrors, their origins still a mystery. These features, unique to Mercury, add an element of intrigue to its ancient surface, a reminder that even the most studied worlds hold secrets. You drift higher again, looking down at the planet as a whole. Mercury appears small and solitary, yet its dense core and enduring surface give it an undeniable strength. It is a survivor, having withstood the extremes of the sun's energy and the chaos of the early solar system. Its orbit is steady, its rhythm constant, a quiet testament to the resilience of the cosmos. The sun begins its slow descent, and the shadows lengthen once more. The surface, so bright and scorching just hours before, begins to cool as the light fades. The transition from day to night is gradual, a seamless shift that mirrors the planet's calm demeanor. You let this transition guide you, your mind quieting, your breath steady. As darkness falls, the stars reappear, their light sharp and brilliant against the black void. Mercury's surface cools rapidly, contracting once again, the rocks settling into the stillness of night. The silence deepens, wrapping the planet in a blanket of calm. As the cycle continues, unbroken and eternal, you feel the timelessness of this rhythm, the balance of light and dark, of heat and cold. Mercury's journey around the sun is steady and deliberate, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, there is order and harmony. You let this thought carry you, the silence of Mercury becoming your own, the stillness of its surface becoming your stillness. The night returns fully now, spreading its cold, quiet embrace over Mercury's surface. The sun has disappeared below the horizon, leaving behind only the faintest glow of its memory, a subtle gradient of light fading into the darkness. The stars emerge one by one, their brightness uninterrupted by any atmosphere. The constellations seem sharper here, their ancient patterns clearer, as though the universe itself is leaning closer to whisper its secrets. The surface cools rapidly, the stored heat of the long day radiating away into the infinite void of space. The rocks, which had expanded under the sun's intense heat, now contract once again, their surfaces cracking and shifting imperceptibly. It is a quiet, almost imperceptible rhythm, a deep exhalation from the planet itself, settling into the stillness of night. As you drift above the planet, you notice the delicate interplay of shadow and light within its countless craters. Even in the absence of the sun, the reflected starlight reveals subtle details. The ridges of crater walls, the smooth plains at their centers, and the faint, dust-like patterns of debris scattered across the surface. Mercury's scars tell a story of its long life, of the collisions and forces that shaped it over billions of years. Moving further into the polar regions, the shadows grow deeper, more permanent. Here, in the perpetual darkness of craters untouched by sunlight, lies one of Mercury's most intriguing features: frozen water. The ice, shielded from the sun for eons, glimmers faintly under the distant starlight. These deposits, hidden in the planet's coldest, darkest recesses, are relics of the solar system's past, carried here by ancient comets or formed from Mercury's own materials. The contrast between the icy poles and the blazing heat of the equator is striking. Mercury is a planet of extremes, yet these contrasts coexist in perfect balance. It is a world that endures, adapting to the relentless pull of the sun and the harshness of its environment. This balance, this harmony of opposites, feels soothing, grounding, as though Mercury itself offers a quiet lesson in resilience. Looking to the horizon, you sense the faint curve of the planet against the backdrop of space. Mercury, small and dense, orbits so close to the sun that it completes its journey in just 88 Earth days. This rapid orbit is counterbalanced by its slow rotation, creating a unique rhythm where one day lasts twice as long as a year. It is a rhythm that is both deliberate and eternal, a dance that Mercury has performed since its creation. High above, the faint glow of Mercury's exosphere becomes visible again. Sodium, potassium, and other elements drift in a tenuous halo around the planet, illuminated by the distant starlight. These particles, released from the surface by solar wind and micrometeoroid impacts, create a fragile connection between Mercury and the vast expanse of space. It is as though the planet is reaching out, quietly interacting with the universe around it. The night deepens, and the temperature plummets even further. Mercury's surface is now colder than the frozen craters at its poles, the rocks contracting into stillness under the weight of the frigid darkness. And yet, this stillness is not emptiness. It is the quiet strength of a world that has endured for billions of years. The silence is profound, a calm that seems to echo through the void, enveloping you in its serenity. As you continue to drift, the horizon begins to change once more. A faint glow appears, a soft light that signals the sun's slow return. It is not yet visible, but its presence is felt, a promise of warmth and light that will soon spread across the surface again. The stars begin to fade, their brilliance dimming as the sun's light grows stronger. You watch as the glow intensifies, creeping across the rugged terrain and illuminating the tops of cliffs and craters. The sun rises slowly, painting the surface in shades of gold and amber. The rocks, frozen and still, begin to expand as the warmth touches them, cracks forming and deepening under the relentless heat. The cycle begins anew, the planet transitioning seamlessly from the stillness of night to the intensity of day. You let this transition guide your thoughts, your breath steady and calm. The rhythm of Mercury, unhurried and eternal, carries you. The silence, the balance of extremes, the timeless orbit, all of it lulls you into a deeper state of peace. You are part of this ancient cycle, a witness to the quiet beauty of a world that has endured the passage of time. The light grows stronger, the shadows retreat, and Mercury's surface awakens once more. The sun, now high above the horizon, dominates the sky, its light casting sharp, clear shadows across the rugged terrain. You feel the energy of this transition, the steady return of warmth and light, as the planet continues its endless journey around its star. The sun climbs higher into Mercury's sky, its unyielding brilliance illuminating every ridge, every crater, and every plain. The surface begins to shimmer with heat as the rocks and dust absorb the sun's energy, expanding and radiating warmth back into the airless void. The heat is so intense that the landscape appears to ripple, like waves of energy spreading silently across the planet. You glide over the towering cliffs once more, the scarps etched deeply into the planet's crust. These ancient formations, rising like frozen waves, tell the story of a planet that has cooled and contracted over eons. The ridges stretch endlessly, their jagged edges casting sharp shadows against the rocky plains. They are Mercury's fingerprints, unique and unchanging, each one a testament to the slow and steady transformation of this small, resilient world. Your path takes you toward the Terminator, the line where day meets night. Here, the extremes of Mercury's environment are most evident. On one side, the sun blazes overhead, its searing heat dominating the landscape. On the other, the deep cold of space lingers, a quiet, frozen stillness. The transition between these two worlds is stark, and yet there is a harmony in the balance of light and shadow, of heat and cold. As you cross the terminator, the starkness of Mercury's day gives way to the softer hues of dusk. The sun lowers in the sky, its light stretching longer and more golden across the rugged terrain. The craters and valleys are bathed in a warm, amber glow, their details softened by the angle of the light. The planet seems to exhale, as though it, too, feels the relief of the approaching night. Drifting lower, you pass over a plain dotted with small, bright hollows. Their reflective surfaces catch the last rays of sunlight, glowing faintly like tiny beacons scattered across the darkening landscape. These hollows, mysterious and unique to Mercury, remain a puzzle even to those who have studied the planet. They shimmer with an otherworldly beauty, adding an unexpected softness to the otherwise rugged surface. Farther along, you encounter another vast plain, its surface smooth and dark, a remnant of ancient volcanic activity. These plains, once filled with molten lava, are now solid and still, their surfaces cracked and weathered by billions of years of exposure. The light fades slowly across them, the shadows stretching longer and longer, until they merge into the growing darkness of the approaching night. As the sun sinks below the horizon, the stars begin to return. One by one, they pierce the sky, their light sharp and steady in the absence of an atmosphere. The Milky Way emerges once more, its vast, glowing band of stars a reminder of the universe's enormity. You feel the quiet stillness of the night descending over Mercury, a deep calm that seems to echo through the silent void. The temperature plummets again, and the rocks begin to contract as the stored heat of the day radiates away. Cracks deepen, and the surface settles into the chill of night, its stillness undisturbed by winds or weather. Mercury's surface becomes a world of contrasts once more, the faint starlight illuminating the sharp lines of craters and ridges in its timeless rhythm. Mercury's orbit around the sun, its slow rotation, the unbroken cycle of day and night, all of it continues, steady and unchanging. The silence of the planet is profound, a stillness that stretches across the eons, offering a sense of peace and stability. You let yourself drift higher, gazing down at Mercury as a whole. From this perspective, the planet appears small but resilient, a dense, rocky world that has endured the extremes of the sun's energy and the chaos of the early solar system. Its surface, though scarred and rugged, reflects a quiet strength, a testament to the enduring balance of nature. The night deepens, and the stars shine brighter, their light illuminating the faint halo of Mercury's exosphere. This delicate atmosphere, composed of particles ejected from the surface, drifts gently around the planet, a subtle connection between Mercury and the universe beyond. It is as though the planet itself breathes, exhaling fragments of its story into the vastness of space. The silence grows deeper, wrapping the planet in its embrace. The cold of the night is absolute, and yet there is warmth in Mercury's enduring presence. The planet, though battered by time and the sun's relentless energy, continues its journey around its star, unyielding and steady. As the hours pass, the horizon begins to lighten once more. The faintest glow appears, a soft promise of the sun's return. The stars begin to fade, their brilliance overtaken by the growing light of dawn. The cycle begins anew, the unbroken rhythm of Mercury's existence continuing as it has for billions of years. You feel this rhythm within you, a steady pulse that mirrors the planet's quiet strength. The silence of Mercury becomes your own, the stillness of its surface grounding you in the infinite calm of the cosmos. The light grows stronger, the day begins, and the story of Mercury continues. The first glow of dawn spills over Mercury's horizon once more, soft and tentative at first, but growing steadily. The jagged edges of cliffs and crater rims catch the light before anything else, gleaming like golden crowns atop a rugged, shadowed landscape. The sun, though still hidden from view, begins to announce its arrival with a gradual spreading of warmth and illumination. The surface, so cold and still during the night, starts to awaken. The light reveals the planet's intricate details, each ridge and valley etched with precision over billions of years. Mercury's surface is not smooth but textured, a testament to the ceaseless forces that shaped it. The craters speak of ancient impacts, moments of violent creation that left their mark forever. The vast plains, meanwhile, tell of calmer times, when lava flowed freely, filling low-lying areas and creating seas of solidified rock. You float closer, feeling the sun's presence growing stronger. Its light, unfiltered by any atmosphere, strikes the surface directly, bathing everything in sharp, vivid clarity. Shadows retreat, shrinking into the depths of craters and the bases of cliffs as the sun climbs higher. The airlessness of Mercury means there are no soft gradients, no gentle fades between light and dark, only stark contrasts, defined by the sun's relentless energy. The surface begins to warm, and with it, a subtle transformation takes place. The rocks expand under the intense heat, their surfaces cracking and shifting as they adjust. The fine layer of dust that covers much of the planet glitters faintly, reflecting the sun's brilliance. This dust, or regolith, is the product of countless collisions, micrometeoroids striking the surface, breaking down rocks into smaller and smaller particles. Each grain is a fragment of history, a piece of Mercury's endless story. The sun rises fully now, dominating the sky with its overwhelming presence. Its light reveals the bright hollows scattered across the plains, their reflective surfaces shimmering like pools of liquid light. These mysterious features remain one of Mercury's greatest enigmas. Scientists theorize that they are the result of volatile materials sublimating under the sun's heat, but their precise nature is still unknown. They add an otherworldly beauty to the planet's rugged surface, a touch of softness amidst the starkness. Drifting higher, you take in the expanse of the Caloris Basin, one of the largest impact craters in the solar system. Its massive size, spanning over 1,500 kilometers, is a reminder of the immense forces that shaped Mercury's early years. The basin's floor is smooth, filled with solidified lava that flowed long after the initial impact. Surrounding it are concentric rings of mountains, their peaks sharp and imposing, like ripples frozen in stone. Beyond the basin, the scarps rise once more, their jagged ridges stretching for hundreds of kilometers. These cliffs, formed as the planet cooled and contracted, are among Mercury's most striking features. They stand as monuments to the passage of time, their sheer faces casting long shadows across the plains below. You can almost feel the forces that created them, the immense pressure of a shrinking world reshaping itself from within. The sun climbs higher still, and the heat intensifies. The surface becomes an inferno, the temperature soaring to levels unimaginable on Earth. Yet, even in this extreme environment, Mercury remains steadfast. Its dense core, the source of its weak but persistent magnetic field, anchors it firmly in its orbit. The magnetic field, though faint, offers a glimpse into the planet's dynamic past, when its core was more active and its surface more volatile. As the day progresses, the rhythm of Mercury becomes more apparent. The slow rotation means that the sun's journey across the sky is deliberate, almost meditative. A single day on Mercury lasts 176 Earth days, a stretch of time that feels infinite in its unhurried pace. You find yourself drawn into this rhythm, your thoughts slowing, your breathing matching the planet's deliberate cycle. The shadows lengthen as the sun begins its descent, the golden light softening and spreading across the landscape. The craters, ridges, and plains are bathed in the warm hues of late afternoon, their details once again becoming more pronounced as the angle of the light changes. The surface, though searingly hot, seems to settle, as though preparing itself for the approaching night. You drift toward the horizon, where the light begins to fade into darkness. The terminator, the line between day and night, approaches, its edge sharp and clear. Crossing it, you feel the sudden shift in temperature, the intense heat of the day giving way to the deep cold of night. The transition is stark, but also peaceful, a reminder of Mercury's delicate balance. As night falls, the stars return once more, their light sharp and unchanging. The silence deepens, the stillness of the planet enveloping you completely. The cycle begins again, unbroken and eternal, a rhythm that has persisted for billions of years. Mercury continues its quiet journey around the sun, resilient and enduring, a world defined by contrasts yet unified in its harmony. You let this rhythm carry you, your thoughts dissolving into the stillness of the night. The silence of Mercury becomes your own, the balance of light and dark, heat and cold, anchoring you in the vast expanse of the cosmos. You drift, weightless and calm, as the planet's story unfolds around you, timeless and infinite. The stars now blanket the sky, each point of light a distant sun, reminding you of the vastness that stretches far beyond Mercury's orbit. The Milky Way glimmers, a soft, luminous band that arcs across the heavens, connecting one end of the galaxy to the other. The darkness of space feels infinite, yet Mercury's presence beneath you grounds you, a small but resilient world bound to its star by invisible threads of gravity. The planet's surface, still radiating the heat of the day, begins to cool rapidly as the sun's warmth fades entirely. The rocks and regolith contract, their surfaces cracking softly in the absence of sound. It is a quiet transformation, almost imperceptible, as the searing heat of the day gives way to the deep cold of night. Mercury seems to exhale, sinking into the stillness of space, preparing for the long hours of darkness ahead. You float above the shadowed plains, their features softened by the dim light of distant stars. The larger craters, their walls high and imposing, cast shadows that stretch endlessly across the terrain. Inside these craters, the darkness is absolute, untouched by any light since their formation billions of years ago. The stillness here feels ancient, a kind of frozen eternity that has remained unchanged since the solar system's earliest days. The polar regions, perpetually locked in shadow, come into view again. These craters, forever hidden from the sun's rays, hold their secret, deposits of water ice, preserved for billions of years. The ice glints faintly, catching the faint starlight and reflecting it back as a subtle shimmer. These frozen patches are relics of the solar system's chaotic youth, when comets and asteroids brought water and other materials to planets like Mercury. Drifting lower, you sense the profound silence that envelopes the planet. There is no wind, no sound, no movement, only the quiet stillness of a world untouched by life. The silence feels vast, expansive, as though it stretches across the eons, carrying with it the weight of Mercury's ancient history. You let this silence surround you, allowing it to calm your thoughts and slow your breathing. As the night deepens, Mercury's exosphere becomes more pronounced. This delicate halo, composed of atoms ejected from the surface, drifts gently around the planet. Sodium and potassium glow faintly, energized by the sun's radiation even from beyond the horizon. The exosphere is a fragile and transient feature, constantly replenished and just as easily eroded. It is a subtle reminder of Mercury's ongoing connection to the sun, even in the depths of night. Looking upward, you see the stars begin to shift ever so slightly. Mercury's orbit carries it along its elliptical path, the planet constantly moving, though its motion feels imperceptible in the stillness of the moment. This slow, deliberate journey is part of Mercury's nature, its elliptical orbit bringing it closer to and farther from the sun in a rhythmic cycle that has continued for billions of years. Time seems to stretch here, each moment blending seamlessly into the next. A single night on Mercury lasts for weeks, yet it feels timeless, unhurried. The slow rotation of the planet creates a sense of stillness, a pause in the constant motion of the cosmos. You feel yourself sinking with this rhythm, your thoughts slowing, your mind becoming as quiet and steady as the planet below. As the hours pass, the horizon begins to glow faintly once again. It is the first hint of dawn, the soft light of the sun creeping upward from beyond the edge of the planet. The transition from night to day is slow, deliberate, like the opening of a curtain to reveal a stage. The stars begin to fade, their brilliance overtaken by the growing light of the sun. The craters and ridges of Mercury's surface start to emerge from the shadows, their edges sharp and clear in the early morning light. The sun's rays reach the highest peaks first, illuminating them with a golden glow that spreads slowly across the rugged terrain. The surface, though still frozen from the night, seems to come alive in the presence of the sun's warmth. You let yourself drift with the light, following its steady progress as it spreads across the planet. The shadows retreat, the warmth grows, and the cycle begins anew. Mercury's rhythm, so unchanging and eternal, carries you along, its quiet strength a source of calm and reassurance. The sun finally breaks fully over the horizon, its light flooding the landscape in sharp contrast. The planet's surface begins to heat once more, the rocks expanding and the hollows shimmering brightly. The day stretches out ahead, another chapter in Mercury's unending story, a reminder of the balance and harmony that governs even the most extreme of worlds. As the sun climbs higher in Mercury's sky, its rays spread across the surface with a growing intensity. The golden glow of dawn transitions into the piercing brilliance of full daylight. The landscape awakens under the sun's powerful light, and the sharp contrasts between shadow and illuminated rock grow even more pronounced. Mercury's surface, a patchwork of craters, plains, and ridges, becomes a vibrant tableau of textures and forms, each detail etched deeply into the planet's ancient crust. The searing heat begins to take hold, and the rocks expand once again under the relentless solar energy. The hollows scattered across the terrain shine brightly, reflecting the sunlight with an otherworldly radiance. These enigmatic features stand out starkly against the darker regolith, their origins still shrouded in mystery. They seem to shimmer with life, as though Mercury itself whispers of the secrets it has kept for billions of years. Your path takes you across the vast plains near the planet's equator, where ancient lava flows once smoothed the surface. These plains, dark and expansive, stretch outward like seas of stone, their surfaces fractured and weathered by time. Each crack and crevice is a mark left by the planet's slow cooling, the result of internal heat radiating away into space. The plains tell a quieter story than the craters or scarps, but they are no less important, a testament to the gradual forces that have shaped Mercury over eons. Drifting higher, you gaze down at Mercury's stark beauty. The bright sunlight reveals every ridge and valley in sharp detail, casting deep shadows that stretch across the surface. The Caloris Basin comes into view again, its immense size and circular symmetry dominating the surrounding terrain. This massive crater, formed by a cataclysmic impact long ago, is a reminder of the violent forces that shaped the early solar system. Its floor, filled with smooth volcanic plains, glows faintly under the sun's relentless glare. Moving beyond the basin, you come across the scarps once more, those towering cliffs that ripple across the landscape like frozen waves. These ridges, formed as the planet's core cooled and contracted, are some of the most striking features on Mercury. They rise sharply from the plains, their steep faces catching the sunlight and casting long, dramatic shadows. Each scarp is a monument to the planet's evolution, a silent witness to the slow but unstoppable changes that have defined Mercury's existence. The sun, now high in the sky, dominates everything. Its brilliance floods the surface, overpowering the stars and casting an intense, unyielding light. Mercury's lack of atmosphere means there is no filter, no softening of the sun's rays, only the raw, direct energy of a star shining at close range. The heat becomes almost unimaginable, yet the planet endures, as it has for billions of years. You find yourself drawn to the terminator once again, the boundary where day meets night. Here, the stark contrast between light and shadow is most evident. On one side, the sun's rays illuminate the landscape with searing intensity. On the other, the darkness of night holds fast, a world still frozen in the chill of space. The balance between these extremes is striking, a reminder of Mercury's duality, its existence defined by contrasts. As the sun begins its slow descent, the light softens, casting the surface in warm, golden hues. The craters and ridges, so harsh and sharp in full daylight, now appear more serene, their edges blurred by the angle of the light. The shadows grow longer, stretching across the plains and filling the valleys with darkness. The planet seems to exhale, the heat of the day gradually giving way to the calm of evening. The Terminator advances once more, bringing with it the approach of night. The temperature begins to drop, the intense heat radiating away into the vacuum of space. The rocks contract, their surfaces cracking faintly in the profound silence. Mercury's surface, so alive with energy during the day, returns to stillness, settling into the quiet of the approaching night. As the sun dips below the horizon, the stars reappear, their light sharp and unchanging against the black void. The Milky Way stretches across the sky, its soft glow a reminder of the galaxy's vastness. Mercury's surface fades into shadow, the features that were so vivid in the sunlight now dissolving into the depths of night. You hover above the planet, feeling the profound stillness of this transition. The silence deepens, the cold of night spreads, and the stars grow brighter, filling the sky with their steady light. The cycle has come full circle once more, the unbroken rhythm of Mercury continuing as it always has. Day turns to night, light to shadow, heat to cold. A balance as old as the planet itself. You let this rhythm carry you, your thoughts dissolving into the quiet. The stillness of Mercury becomes your stillness, its silence your silence. You drift, weightless and calm, as the planet continues its endless journey around the sun. A timeless dance of light and dark, of fire and ice, of endurance and grace. The stars now shine with their full brilliance, unobscured by any atmosphere, their light sharp and pure. The vastness of space stretches endlessly above, a dark canvas sprinkled with countless points of light. The silence of Mercury's night grows deeper, wrapping the planet in a stillness that feels almost eternal. The surface lies frozen under the absence of the sun, every grain of dust, every crack in the rock radiating the memory of the intense heat it bore just hours before. You float above the darkened plains, their features softened by the dim glow of starlight. The craters, so sharply defined in daylight, now seem quieter, their jagged edges blending into the surrounding terrain. The vast scarps and ridges, once striking in their sunlight-drenched prominence, are now gentle silhouettes, their outlines faint but enduring against the stark void of the horizon. Drifting lower, you approach the polar regions again where the shadows never retreat. These craters, forever cloaked in darkness, hold their frozen treasures, ancient water ice, untouched by time or the sun's heat. The ice glimmers faintly, reflecting the distant starlight like scattered fragments of crystal. These silent, hidden places are reminders of Mercury's extremes, where scorching heat and perpetual cold exist side by side, a balance that defines the planet's nature. The night deepens, and the cold intensifies. The rocks, which expanded under the sun's heat, now contract once more, their surfaces cracking with subtle shifts. These small, almost imperceptible movements are the echoes of Mercury's rhythm, the steady cycle of day and night that has played out for billions of years. The silence remains absolute, the airless environment carrying no sound, no movement,